thanks to the homie up above. And no more time for bigging up to these fakes who ain't around when the time's getting rough. 6 million ways to die, so I spit into this truth when I break the lies. Everybody wanna talk, but all I hear is lies. Everybody been fake, all I see in their eyes. 6 million ways to die, so I spit into this truth when I break the lies. Everybody wanna talk, but all I hear is...
Hi, I'm Jules from Fast Car Entertainment, and this is Feature Car of the Month. Today we're doing something slightly different and revisiting a car that we featured around about a year ago. So let's go check it out. Right, so we're back with Chris and his GR Yaris, and it's changed quite a bit since we saw it last year. So what we're going to do, Chris, we're just going to talk about all the new modifications, just front to back.
Cool.
So Chris, what would you say is the biggest change so far?
I wouldn't even know where to start, to be honest. Obviously last year we had a completely different idea for the car. It was going to be kind of clean, shiny wheels and quite JDM, whereas what I found soon after we met last year was that I wasn't enjoying not being able to drive the car. So then I started changing it back into the kind of rally car heritage, doing something a bit more motorsporty, something that I could actually drive and not worry so much about keeping it pristine.
So with that in mind, I'm guessing you've had a play with the engine.
Yeah, so when we met last year, I was talking about going on to get the stock ECU mapped. Things kind of developed. At the time, the platform was relatively young and there wasn't much out there for these cars. Since then, I've moved on to a Cyvex, which was installed by the guys at Fensport, which is now mapped by Acme Racing over in Italy, the guys that do the GR Cup rally cars over there. A few tweaks to kind of bolt-on parts as well, so I've now got quite a lot of kit from AirTech. The guys there have been really good to me. I've got like intercooler, charge pipes, that kind of thing. Just had the well speed manifold put on as well, which has kind of helped with a bit of mid-range torque with the longer runners, and then a kind of fruity exhaust to run about 1.9 bar of boost for doing now to it.
Ah, so what kind of power is it hitting?
Been road tuned, so it's hard to say, but based off of what other cars do, it's about 330 brake or so. 1.9 bars the most I can get. It's talks, I'm actually going to speak to Turbo's Entrum tomorrow about getting their hybrid on the car, which once that's on, we could be talking about 400 brake or so.
Obviously the car's changed visually quite a lot. Yep. Do you want to talk through those modifications? So I remember it was white, and it's definitely not white now.
It was white with the cherry blossoms, and then it was black on white wheels, and then it was black on black wheels, and it was white on black wheels, and then now it's a colour called Bayside by Tech Wrap. Then the carbon stuff, this all kind of comes from a little side venture I've got making carbon parts. So some of it's skin, some of it's genuine carbon, and then obviously the wing at the back that's come from Italy too. So
we just talked about the styling and the engine. What about the wheels? They've changed?
They have. So these are keepers now. These are actually made by West Forge, but the design was done by myself. Between myself and George there, we had a bit of back and forth about a style. Now, I've had the Rotiform KV1s last year.
Yeah.
Really like the style with the kind of AERO disc.
I was going to say.
Features around it.
Yeah.
Not AERO disc, but you know what I mean. Love those wheels, but they were cast. They were really, really heavy. So I wanted to take something from that, a similar kind of design, but I also like fat 5 spokes. So things like the 1552 Tarmacs. Yeah. Similar idea to that. There's about 4 or 5 different wheels have inspired these, so we combine them all together. These are what we came out with, but these are fully forged as well now, so these are a lot lighter than the Rotiforms were. But these are my design, they're completely bespoke.
And the brakes, are they the same as last year?
Yeah, stock GR brakes. I have been talking to somebody who does carbon ceramic brakes, but I can't afford them yet. Right,
moving on to the rear, it looks pretty similar to last year, apart from that huge spoiler. But is there any other little tweaks?
Yeah, so last year, still had no diffuser on the back with a centre exit exhaust. However, after living with that for about 10 months, it was pretty horrible. I think I did about 15,000 miles or something in that time, and I'm going deaf. So had to add a box back in. So my friend Kian up in Glasgow, he's put an extra box on the back, which has obviously made it a bit more friendly for tracks and things too, which is kind of what I wanted to get back into. So exhaust on the back, big wing. But I think apart from that, most of it's pretty similar.
Cool, that's not like you. Right, so should we move on to the interior now? Right, so we're in here. Well, this looks like an obvious difference, but yeah, you talk me through it, Chris.
So quite a lot's changed, probably more's changed in here than outside. Last year we came stock seat, stock steering wheel, stock shifter, stock dash and everything too. So starting with the stuff that I've been doing, the dashboard, trim panels and everything, this is the stuff that I've been making in my own time. So these are all handmade parts. It's carbon skinned, they're not full carbon, but it's kind of real carbon on top of the OEM parts. CAE shifter, again, carbon gear knob on that as well.
Yep.
And then I've got the switch panel on the steering wheel here too. So this was something I did recently actually. It was a wee experiment for myself to test my skill. The OEM steering wheel is used for the map switching on the Cybex, so the cruise control buttons and everything are used to switch between my different maps and all that stuff. However, I didn't like the fact that the OEM steering wheel is massive, especially for a car this size. Like I think it's about 360mm I measured it at. So I wanted a smaller wheel, which the Sparco 353 kind of fit in nicely with. I wanted it closer, so OMP spacer as well on the Worksbell bus. However, I then didn't have any buttons, and there is something you can get from Worksbell which lets you move the OEM switches behind the steering wheel, but I didn't really like the look of that either. So I got to work with the guys at Carbon Cut UK and started mapping out the steering controls. So I now have all the functions that I need. I've omitted the stuff that I don't have anymore, so things like lane assist, like the radar cruise control, I don't need the buttons for that. However, I've got my map switching, I've got my infotainment controls, horn, cruise control, all the stuff that I'd need whilst I'm driving. Plus I can use the steering wheel now as well, so it means that if I am going to a track day or something and I've got this wheel fitted, I can still use the creature comforts of the car.
Thanks for your time today, Chris. And if you want to see more of this Yaris, go back and watch the video we did last year and you can see how much it's changed for yourself. And if you've liked this video, remember to like, subscribe, comment, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. Cheers.
Just let a man breathe and just hush so my mind could just cease, so my mind don't erupt. At times I feel I can't get enough, but I sip a double cup and I spin a couple ducks. Sending out some love to my blood, to my girl, to my buds, to the homie up above.